Hi, my name's Isaac, and a couple years ago when I reviewed the Ford Bronco Raptor, I slid it in the snow, and so now I'm legally obligated to slide this one too. And now that I've slid it for you guys, I'm gonna review it for you. Just about 2 years ago, I had the opportunity to review a 2023 Bronco Raptor, and it was a blast. I had so much fun driving it. I really felt like king of the road driving it, and it didn't hurt that that video went on to be my most successful review by far. Like, chances are, if you've seen one of my videos, you've seen that Bronco Raptor review. And clicking on this, you might be like, wait, Isaac, is this the same exact Bronco? No, it is different. That one was a 23, this is a 2025. When I found out Ford had another Bronco available, I said, sure, send it over. And I didn't realize till yesterday that it was the exact same color. But then I was doing some research and I went, oh, the 2025 has the option of body-colored fender flares, so it'll be a little bit different. And then I read the window sticker when it was coming and found out that it had the black appearance package, which blacks out those body-colored fender flares, so it basically looks exactly the same as the one I reviewed before. And while there aren't a ton of changes on the 2025 Bronco Raptor, I'm excited to revisit not only one of my most popular vehicles that I've reviewed, but also something that I've just had such a fun time driving. Now, let's start out up front. As I mentioned, this has that black appearance package, so it has this big black graphic sticker on the hood. There are some other stuff on the exterior and interior with that package that I'll talk about as we go along. But honestly, it's a pretty expensive package that, in my opinion, doesn't offer a ton here. It's a little over $7,000. And I don't personally think that's worth it. If you're looking for a Bronco Raptor, I would just stick with the regular one because for 2025, there are quite a few fun color options that you can get. Obviously, they do make it in more than this color, right? I digress. Moving on to the front end right here, it has not changed much since the inception of the Bronco Raptor, but I don't think it needs to. This is one of the most aggressive looking vehicles in history. I'll say it. This thing is so sharp, so beefy. It has all the right angles. It's like so cool looking, and I don't think they've really needed to change much here. One of my favorite parts on the front, you'll get these amber LED running lights right here. And then of course you do get LED headlights. Moving further down, you'll have rigid fog lights down here. That's a neat inclusion, as well as this big metal bumper. They are not messing around over there at Ford. There are some other manufacturers that have big grills that look chrome and really beefy, but then when you touch them, they're just chintzy plastic. Not here on the Bronco Raptor. You can see all the exposed bolts. The parking sensors are cleverly integrated into that. You'll have these huge tow hooks and a big skid plate underneath. And I also love the amber lights incorporated into the grille right above the Ford badge and that front camera. Unfortunately, there's nothing new underneath the hood here for 2025, but what you do get is incredibly impressive. This is powered by a 3-liter twin-turbocharged EcoBoost V6, making 418 horsepower and 440 pound-feet of torque, and that is paired to a 10-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is unsurprisingly really bad. The EPA estimates 15 combined, and this week during my testing, I averaged 14.3. Moving to the profile of this just massive SUV, you can see those black plastic fender flares accentuate the massive 37-inch tires. These are huge. BF Goodrich tires, and you'll get 17-inch wheels. You'll have a Raptor graphic up here on the hood, and then some air vents that appear to be functional. Then I love on the Broncos how you have the mirrors incorporated in. On a Jeep, they would be placed on the door, so when you remove the door, you lose your mirrors. You have to come up with some sort of aftermarket option. But here on the Bronco, they are attached right below the A-pillar, so when you take the doors off, which of course is able to be done here, you don't lose your mirrors. And these mirrors are pretty impressive. You'll have a camera for the 360-degree camera system. You'll also have a light in there as a puddle light, and that also works with Ford's lighting system. I'll talk about that a little bit more when we move into the interior. As you can see, there is a turn signal indicator right there. And then this light is like for the width of the vehicle. Underneath the Bronco Raptor, there is a host of skid plates. You'll have Fox shocks, some really beefy control arms. I mean, it's very well equipped. Now, the blacked out appearance package does have this Raptor graphic that you get here. That was not on the previous one that I reviewed, and that's pretty neat. I think the graphics are very cool. And another part of the blacked out appearance package is the roof is a gloss black. As for the towing capacity, the Raptor can tow a respectable 4,500 pounds. And then opening it up here, that will bring us into the rear, and just like a Jeep, you can open this up, and that will give you a little bit more access into the back here. And in the back seats, it is only a 2-row. There's not a 3rd row, but you'll get some LED lights. You'll also get a 12-volt, which is always nice to see. And then underneath this Bronco floor mat, there is a little bit more storage and your spare tire. Future Isaac here. I realize I did not talk about the key fob, and so I wanted to do that quickly before I forgot. You get lock, unlock, and panic. You also get remote start here. And then on the back, it says Bronco. Now, 2 years ago, when I had the other Bronco Raptor, I could have sworn that it said Raptor on the key fob. And at first I figured, well, this is a press loan. Maybe somebody else lost the key, and when Ford went to replace it, they just got a regular Bronco key fob. But then I decided to look into it, and it turns out that for 2025, the Raptors no longer say Raptor on the back. Now, there's no official Ford press release about this because it's a fairly minor thing, but there is a lot of speculation about cost cutting and even saving on little things like the back panel for the key, which is unfortunate because this is more expensive than the Raptor has ever cost. And it's fun when you have the key to be like, yeah, I got the Raptor. It's not a huge issue, but definitely something that I wanted to point out. Moving to the interior of the Bronco Raptor, there are a few new things for 2025 in here. This is where we'll see most of the change on the vehicle, so it's not going to be an entirely rehashed review. For starters, you'll get these amazing seats. I don't know if it's really coming through on camera, but they're dark blue with this red accenting that's really neat in the center. So I guess if you're a Spider-Man fan and you have $100,000, the Bronco Raptor is a very compelling vehicle. It's compelling for other reasons, of course, as well. Now, in addition to the seats, you will also get the option of a heated steering wheel. My previous tester did not have that. That is an amazing option that I really felt was lacking. There were so many cool features here, but the absence of a heated steering wheel was very apparent. And so I'm glad that they finally added that as a luxury element. You also have a Bang & Olufsen sound system. You can see some of the speakers incorporated up into the dash here. And then you do have USB-Cs up here on the dash as well. So if you'd want to hook up a dash camera or something like that, you have much easier capability, which is very nice. Now, those are some of the new things that I noticed in here. Definitely added creature comforts. That blue interior design continues across the dash too. You get that red stitching. It's very, very nice. So now I'm going to talk about some of the features in this in general that might not necessarily be new, but I'm going to run you guys through them just in case you haven't seen my last video or you need a refresher. I know I did. So I just watched my old video. And look, I'm just being honest with you guys. So, starting here on the door panel, this is also that dark blue color, very nice. You will have lock and unlock. You have this little pouch right here. Your lighting controls are on the side. You can hit these buttons to illuminate the lights out of the side mirrors, which is very convenient. Electronic parking brake right there. Not a fan. This is such a big, cool, beefy SUV. I wish it had a manual parking brake. That always feels dorky. You'll have your hood popper right there and manual adjustment for the steering wheel. It is, of course, tilting and telescoping. It would be weird if it didn't. And then moving up to the steering wheel itself, tons of options here. You'll have radar guided cruise control settings right here, volume, your Bluetooth. This set of buttons right here controls the gauge cluster screen. That is fully digital. There's, of course, quite a few menus that you can cycle through. One of my favorite parts of the customization on this Bronco Raptor is that down here you have some buttons that adjust elements of the Raptor that you wouldn't necessarily think. So for example, if I hit this steering wheel right here, I can choose between standard, sport, and comfort, and it really does loosen or tighten up the steering wheel depending on which one you go for. It's a very, very cool. And then you'll have suspension right here, the dampers, normal, sport, off-road. And then you also have exhaust. So you'll have Baja, quiet, normal, and sport. And that does, like, at least it sounds like it opens up the headers more, and it does sound different, which is very impressive. It makes this all the more fun. And then if you hit the R button right here, that's going to pull up the My Mode settings. As you can see, I have the settings in sport, off-road, and normal for most of them. And then if I hold the button down, I can sort of save on the Bronco what settings I want. So I can just tap that and it'll sort of go to all my saved settings, similar to how you would have memory seats on a vehicle. It does that, which is very cool. You'll have paddle shifters right back here. And then I forgot to mention this earlier. It doesn't look like you get a driver's side grab handle, but you do. Right here, there is a grab handle, so getting up inside is a lot easier. Now, of course, having the running boards does make it easy too, but that is convenient to have. And then moving over here, engine start stop, of course, and then a ton of settings in your infotainment system right here. You have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. I'm gonna go to a different radio station so I don't, oh, okay, I'm not gonna get sued for copyright if it's just trying to give me a SiriusXM preview of NPR. At least I assume NPR isn't gonna flag this video for copyright. But you do have, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto capabilities, navigation's built in. You have a host of different apps. You can pull YouTube up as its own app now. If you want to watch Alpha Shark videos, you can do that while you're parked. And then there's tons of settings that you can cycle through, pretty much anything you can imagine. You can use this as a hotspot, built-in Wi-Fi. And then this is one of my favorite settings right here. It's zone lighting. So you turn this on, and then it is going to illuminate the entire exterior around the Bronco. So let's say you're at a campsite at nighttime. This is so useful. And then if you wanted to turn off the sides or turn off the back, you can do that. I think it's one of the coolest features on modern vehicles. Up here, you'll have a host of settings for the off-roading. You'll have your stabilizer bar disconnect, front locking differential, rear locking differential. Then you'll have trail turn assist, and then traction control, and the most off-roady button of all, your hazards. Up top, you do have auxiliary buttons here too if you want to hook up maybe a winch or additional light bars if there's not enough light coming out of this. Putting this into reverse, you do get a top-down 360-degree camera system, and you do have the option to really mess with all your different angles. Of course, I have it in reverse for that. If we wanted to do it while we were going forward, you can pull up the front forward cam and do the same thing to sort of split it, give it a more wide angle look. Very, very useful for off-roading. We're gonna use that later in this video, so stay tuned for that. I'm very excited to actually off-road this thing a little bit more than I did with the previous one. Now, moving further down here, you have that Camera button, auto engine start stop. You can turn your parking sensors off if you'd like. Physical buttons for volume and tuning, which I'm always a fan of. And then right here, you can use your physical climate controls, which again, I'm a huge proponent of. That is very neat. Heated seats, no ventilated seats here. That is a big disappointment. Below that, it looks like this is a wireless charger right here, but I don't think it is. I haven't been able to get it to charge my phone.
Where are the stones?
Gone. Reduced to atoms.
Down there you do have a little storage area and USB and USB-C. This is also a new addition I don't think I mentioned, but I mean, it's not huge. It's just like a little additional storage bin. It's like a little garbage can that you can throw in here. It, of course, does obstruct part of your passenger space legroom. You get an American flag right there, and then the Bronco logo, and it is a standard shifter. Nothing crazy about that, but that's sort of nice in the world that we live in, just getting a regular shifter. And then down here, you have your GOAT mode selector. If we spin this dial, it'll tell us all the different off-road modes that are available here on the Bronco Raptor. It even changes the color of the Bronco. And then your four-wheel drive settings, of course. And then tapping this center one is trail control, which is sort of like an off-road cruise control, which is nice. You'll have your power window switches, your power mirror buttons right here, and then opening this up, you do have a nice little storage area in here that has two USB-Cs right here. I know it's very dark. You gotta trust me, it's in there. And a 12 volt. Now you can take these roof panels off, and I will take these off later when we're off-roading. We'll talk about that a little bit more. But it's nice that they are removable, and it appears that these are a nicer, much more premium texture and material compared to the 2023s. They were a little chintzier, and these Broncos had a big problem with asbestos just like falling off of the ceiling right when they first came out. So I'm glad it looks like they really resolved that, but it looks like this is an improvement, at least stylistically here. Moving to the rear seats, it has a decent amount of legroom back here. I would say I probably have about 4 inches of legroom at 5'9" with where I would be sitting, and then maybe 2 or 3 inches of headroom. It's not great, but it's not terrible. As big of an SUV as this is, you'd think it would have a little bit more interior room. But moving down here, you have this like checkerboard sort of open slot panel you can like attach bags to. The idea is you can like slip stuff through here and tie it in, which is cool. You'll have the little cargo nets on either side, your rear window controls, rear climate vents, the cool seats continue back here. What a neat look. And then you can fold this down for a tiny little armrest. Not really enough for 2 people. It's sort of like a oneer armrest. You know, you have to fight over it. But not bad here in the back seats. Definitely spacious enough to fit 5 people quite well in the entire vehicle, not just in the back seats. You cannot fold them up, though. Unfortunately, they are secured in place, but you can drop them and fold them. Whoops. I should have planned to do this before I did it, right? Oh, man. There we go. Perfect. Look, there we go. And they drop down and give you a nearly flush load floor. Not entirely, but pretty decent. All right, driving the Bronco Raptor. I just did the entire driving segment, and then I realized I didn't have my mic going, so that is stinky. It has so many fun customizable options with the steering, the suspension, everything like that. And so it really does offer quite a bit. Now, merging onto the highway here, it picks up pretty quickly. You know, you can hear it. It picks up pretty quickly. But speaking of hearing it, it's actually quieter than the Bronco Badlands I reviewed. That roof was really rickety, a lot of wind noise, some creaks in it. But here, I told you I'd talk about this. I can't tell you if it's better and more sound dampened than the previous Bronco Raptor I reviewed, but it does sound much better than the Badlands. I distinctly remember how loud and echoey that was on the interior. I could barely hear myself think. The easiest descriptive term that I can give for the Bronco Raptor is that it has presence. Anywhere you go, this thing gets looks. But I think it has a respectful presence. Even though it's very gaudy, I think people are like, yeah, that makes sense. You're gonna use that for off-roading? Cool. Because like, while it's very fun, it's definitely like, you don't accidentally buy a Bronco Raptor, right? You definitely buy it to like do some crazy off-roading or to look like you do some crazy off-roading. But speaking of that, let's do some off-roading. I hit the road with some of my friends and we headed towards Bald Eagle State Forest here in Pennsylvania. And when we got there, we pulled off and then took the roof and doors off of the Raptor and properly stored them. And then I took this sick picture and I couldn't really find another place to naturally fit it in, so I'm putting it right here because it looks awesome. Then we aired down all of our tires and I hit the trail first, leading the way for our convoy in the Raptor. I would say this is a medium grade off-road trail. You definitely need four-wheel drive, and unfortunately it does get pretty tight in certain areas, so some of the bushes and trees scratched up our fenders and paint just a little bit. All right, driving the Bronco Raptor off-road. So I am gonna go the same way, yes. So we've jumped into the off-road segment with this giant log that has fallen in front of our path. So this is like checking all the boxes for the ultimate off-roading course. So now we're gonna have to jump ahead, and I have a couple people with me that are gonna help me go on this side path. The Bronco really makes everything off-road quite effortless, which is very impressive. I'm gonna put my front camera on here and my spotters are telling me I'm good. It is very, very nice to drive this thing off-road. And for as bulky as it is, it handles it so well, so gracefully. And we're gonna be able to keep moving forward here. I am just wildly impressed. Off-road, effortless. That's the word we're gonna describe the Bronco Raptor. I mean, it tears over everything. I've lowered the PSI, of course, on these massive 37-inch tires, so they've quite squishily jumped over anything that we've thrown at it today. And we've been out here for quite a while and we've thrown it through the ringer. Yes, there are things I don't like about this, like the price point and the cost cutting, even though it's more expensive, especially on that key. I just wish it would say Raptor like it used to. And there are some minor things like ventilated seats that I feel like are missing here. But for the most part, this is incredible. Like, I've been able to take the roof and the doors off. That was a very simple process, a couple of bolts and a plug per door. And then of course you want to make sure you store the doors and the roof properly so you're not scratching anything up. I only have it in 4 high with the tires deflated for the rocks that we're going over, and it's been able to handle everything spectacularly. If there was deep snow or really thick mud, I could activate all the lockers and trail turn assist and everything that it has, and I'd be able to get out of stuff that's even heavier than this. And this is probably more off-roading than most people will ever do with the Bronco Raptor, and it's handling it fantastic. I am very impressed. Well, that's just about gonna wrap up my review of the Bronco Raptor. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, liking and subscribing would help my channel a lot. Before I go though, I always like to mention that I'm a Christian, and if you have any prayer requests, I would love to be able to pray for you. You can leave those in the comment section below. And lastly, I like to close out with a scriptural reading. This week, I'm in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 7, verse 9. Be not quick in your spirit to become angry, for anger lodges in the heart of fools. All right, guys, I'll see you next time. And remember, no matter what vehicle you drive, I hope it lasts you a long time and it serves you well. Take care.